Hi all, welcome to another chess24 Banter Blitz. It's 11:30 UK time. Just checking my preview for a moment before we go all in. Okay, so mute over here. And just to let you know, the premium screen, if you want 15% off, just use the voucher code Kingscrusher. You can get to play even the World Chess Champion on challenges, but you have to be a premium member. So there's a lot of other benefits as well of premium membership. Check it out. It's well worth it. Chess24 is become synonymous with one of the best places to follow any chess online, as well as play the likes of Banter Blitz and other streamers on a regular basis. Okay, so that's Kingscrusher, the voucher code. Let's go to the challenge screen now. Let me know if audio and visual is okay. I think we've got a mighty first challenge. I was peeking here. I'm going to have a warm up and leave the tension a bit at a mighty 2684. I'll just make that the second game on this occasion, just to create some tension around the stream. Give me a warm up as well. So it's a win-win for everyone. Okay, so I'm going to fianchetto the bishop. So there's going to be a big fight after this, it seems. Especially, I treat every game as a fight, of course, but statistically, I mean. So I'm going to go for d5 here. Try and open up the center. My hair's become a total mess. I think I do need to have it cut soon. It's getting a bit unwieldy. I don't know if you've noticed anyway. So I'm hoping to sort that out soon. I've been a bit busy this week. So I hope you're all having a good... There's no board? What's happened here? I don't believe it. Oh! There's no board. Oh dear. What screen have I got? So, pardon me. I'm hoping the board comes up soon. Oh, what have I done? Oh. Sorry, I think we're in action now. We do have the ball now. Sorry, I should have absolutely checked on the preview. Okay, I think I might have to do a bit of snipping of this thing to avoid wasting people's time with that start. Okay, so we're starting from here today. I had a bit of a technical issue. We're starting from here. This point in the video, yeah, I was just sorting out the board there. So just to recap on the game, if you're wondering how we got to this position, e4, knight c6, knight f3, e5. So it started like this. Knight bd2, knight g7. Anyway, so we've got Okay, I'll just show you how we got this position. Okay, so we're in action now with the board. Okay, so I'm going to play rook takes f5 or g takes maybe. Okay, so right, can I play f4 with a d4 check? I think it's interesting to try and squish the bishop, so I will do that. Maybe on d4 I have something like king g6. Oh, there's bishop c5 as well. Okay, this could be quite dangerous. Maybe here. To be able to answer, well, g6, so d4, e4. Okay, can I take this guy? Because I'm controlling at h1, I'm wondering how dangerous if I do this. Okay, I thought I was controlling h1 there. Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, I was a bit distracted as well. I was trying thanks for that. Okay, just as well sorting out for the okay, so area 51. Okay, let's see. Area 51. That's funny. I saw a program about that recently. Area 51. Let's go maybe King's Engine. Alright, I've got a line against the trump which involves knight e4 and sort of playing bishop f5. Okay, I'm hoping this is a reasonable position. So I sort of want to play it like a French defense. I mean, I'll go all the way back for a moment because I just want to sort of play it like a French defense now with c5 and knight c6, and then maybe even e6 or queen b6 and e6. Alright, this is I think a little bit of counterplay on the A file, I hope. So b5, b4 plan, e6 and b4. Try and keep my pawn chain together, but I think I want to play for b4. Yeah, I had a game against Jim Plaskett once, and he played bishop f5 and knight takes it. He just seemed to have a solid position. I know I was retreating my bishop, but it just gets in the way, I think, on d7. So the idea of then sort of saying, okay, it's a sort of version of the French defense with these pawn moves over here. With the queens off, I'm less sort of concerned about king safety immediately anyway. Hoping this is okay. Alright, so I wonder if I play b5, maybe I can play takes and then b4, a quick b4 after. I think I should be pleased with this position. It looks reasonable to be able to take and then b4. Okay, my king's in the centre though, so maybe I have to do something about that and keep this protected. So I think king f8. Okay, that looks a bit odd, but I think I just want to get out of tactics like bishop d6. I want to play takes and then b4. I don't want ed and bishop d6. Okay, the knight's protecting. I mean, maybe it's not the end of the world, but I just don't want that. I want to keep the dark square bishop. Unless it's an exchange sack, I don't think it's that effective around about here. So if I take and then b4, I think the king being on there is intriguing. On d2, this kind of makes what's the undoubling I'd want to do anyway, but it seems to have a big bonus here. and the king in the center there. And this looks like on the surface it should be okay for me. I've got an immediate threat of taking in bishop b4. Alright, this looks okay. d5 is held up. Maybe there's bishop a6 and knight d3. I'm threatening immediately knight c2 anyway. Okay, so if I played rook a3, is that any good? Then maybe later bishop d7 or bishop a6 and knight d3. It looks fairly pleasant. I'm holding up d5 with the knight on b4. I guess my rook's not that happy over here. I can sort that out, I think. King g8. No, maybe not. How do I sort out the rook? Okay, that's a little bit of a problem. I think taking on a2, I mean later, if my rook wasn't such a problem. Oh, taking and then bishop a4, of course, now. The king on d1, that doesn't help, having the king on d1. Surely there's knight takes and bishop a4 here. Oh, okay, is my king a bit in trouble? Yeah, if I played bishop d6 just to give me a view on there's e5. Alright, yeah, where does my king go? f6, there's knight g6. Okay, what about the king on c7 then? If I move the king to c7, then I could liberate the rook, the other rook. I'm trying to sort this out without some disaster. So king goes to c7, then that will give me rook a8. I'll be very happy about things then. In terms of not having so many loose pieces or king liabilities to rook b8, etc. I'm reducing the liabilities. I'll constrain the pawn anyway. Not winning the pawn is maybe a good idea. Because this rook concerns me. Once I sort out that rook, okay, I can sort out the back row here. I think king d8 to c7. Right. I probably want that. I'll play here, maybe bishop b3. Oh, the pawn on d5 though is loose. Okay, at least I get my rooks connected. That's the sort of, oh, there's knight c4 though. Right. Okay, can I just do this bit of pressure again? I hope. So my c4's intact. Can I try and win a3? There's a bit of a clock disadvantage. Try and get some material back. Right, if I play king d5, just to hold c4, I'm not getting mated there, I hope. Rook a1 and rook c1. Okay, there's knight b6 on the cards. Okay, rook a1, knight b6, and the knight c4 is going to be a pain. There's knight c5 coming up anyway. Alright, it is a bit of a pain, that move. Okay, I think I'll do that anyway. I'm hoping my rook's active enough. It seems reasonable, this position. Good clock advantage. I think the worst is over. Bit of time gain. Alright, thanks. Yeah, I think something went wrong in the opening there for white. It was, it seemed far too comfortable for me to sort of stand the plan I've used before. Okay, thanks for the game. Yeah, it did seem far too comfortable for black than it should have been. Okay. Goggin, Paul. Hi Goggin, how are you today? Okay, so A6 and or A5. Maybe I do want to stop B4. I think I don't like the idea of castling kingside into some sort of attack here with a fishing pole. I think I'd rather reserve the right to castle queenside in this scenario. See where he is placing his king. That can make a big strategic difference, I think, to any pawn breaks, etc. Because you really want to sometimes reveal king safety issues. It's not just about the pawns, it's about the placement of the pieces, and in particular the king. Where is the king placed? So I want to know, can I play d5 here? We have a waiting position, and if I play d5 I'm concerned about losing e5. It's fascinating. Can I probe here with bishop f5? Trying to encourage d3. Okay, maybe just do some probing around before committing my king. I think he's doing the same. So where will the kings be? That tension here. I think useful might be queen e7 though, to sometimes threaten e4 if the knight moves. e4. Well, there's bishop f6, but then there's queen f6 and I'm hitting the rook. So I think this works. Knight c7. Ah. Okay, the complication there maybe have been knight c7, king d7. Okay. Even so, if it's okay, that's another story. That's another story indeed. There's another double attack here. There's two loose pieces. But this is check. If I played this, that's check. If I hold that with f5, so I'm hoping I'm threatening queen f6. Alright, I'll threaten the rook. No, the knight's protected. I'm holding on c7 still. Another idea here is this potential. Alright, there's queen a1 to pick up some material, is there? King b1, or not yet. The knight holds quite well. Okay, try and take away this knight holding a3 with knight a7. So then queen a1, there's queen a3. Okay. Okay, if I take on c3, I think. And now this, maybe. if I can get the rook activated on A1 with the bishop on B4, that would be pretty dangerous, controlling an escape exit. So AB, CB, knight B4, bishop B4, I'll be threatening a big rook A1 there. Queen B2, rook A1, king C2. It's worth thinking about that sort of thing. If I can activate the rook, the bishop across the escape squares and the rook to rook A1. So let's say queen A2, there's queen C3. So B4, let's calculate AB, CB. Knight takes B4. A takes. Okay, it's going to happen anyway. Actually, queen B2, there's bishop A3. Anyway, pinning the queen. Bit better. Sometimes you can adjust your perception of things. Right, I think I'll take on D1 here. And also I'm going to torture the pin, I think. Not be too quick to, I think people are too quick quite often to exploit pins immediately when there's a lot of torture potential. If you're a masochist, though sometimes I am, I suppose, on the chessboard, that you don't want to you don't want to relieve the pressure too quickly when you have pins. Here's another one anyway. I've got another one. But I think I've created a liability though with my rook, as noted. Alright, so king d7 though. I'm threatening things like rook a8 now. Checkmating. No, but seriously, pins are very good in the short term and long term. You don't need to rush to sort of win material. Okay, thanks, Goggin. Okay. Dan General. Okay. I'll try a King's Engine attack. I reviewed a course on this recently. King's Engine attack. And it's been used by Fischer in his early years. It's and also, of course, Fischer used the King's Engine defense. So, in fact, if you want to wipe out all requirements for an opening repertoire, so a system A against 1 D4 with some ideas that you can use for 1 E4, then King's Engine attack territory seems to be quite a cozy bit of territory, avoiding a lot of tactics, all tons of opening theory you get nowadays. Could be a good coping mechanism if you want to try the King's Engine attack with white. And the big thing I really found out from reviewing this course is not to underestimate the move order. Start with E4 first, then D3, and then King's Engine attack setup against, say, the French and Caracal. That's most effective. Because if you start with Knight F3, unfortunately, they can have a sort of reverse London system with an early Bishop F5 later, which I hate the London system. So I think the move order tweaking to suit one's preferences is important. I think whatever downsides or prison we choose to be in, I think we should enjoy it as far as possible, if there's a choice. If there's any choice. So yeah, the King's Engine move order for me, like Fischer, would be like E4 if they play E6, D3, I'm convinced, not Knight F3, hoping for E6, because they can always do Knight F3, they can always do D5 and then Bishop F5 there. So yeah. So today, yeah, instead of doing some English openings, I think I'm going to give you a little bit of variety today to try the King's Engine attack system with white. Is everyone very excited about that? Would you guys like to see some King's Engine attack systems with white today? Let me know in the chat comments there. So Fischer had great success with it. He didn't just play it against the French defence, he did play it also against the Corican defence. So it was a way of just, for the moment, while he was building his like strengths, other strengths, I think it was like blanking out opening requirements. I've just dropped a pawn, haven't I, for nothing. I've just dropped my A2 pawn for virtually nothing. It's a bit scary. Oh well. So I don't want to drop too many pawns in the course of this game. Unnecessarily. Can I try and open up the king side? Actually, what was wrong with bishop takes g5 out of interest? I'm thinking of the H file though as priority. I want to get onto this H file and not have some discovered attack made against me. I think I'm renewing bishop g5 all the time anyway. If black wants to get uncomfortable protecting a g5 pawn, I can double the rooks in any case. Say knight h7, I'll just double the rooks, I think. Okay, but there is a nuisance counterplay here, a3, yeah, it's a nuisance counterplay. Let's get the queens off then. More than a nuisance, it's changing the nature of things. A lot of things could come off here. Can I get away with rather d4? Right, e5. Or do I need to block this pawn? I got my bishop on c1. Okay, the bishop controls d5 here. I can take on e7 maybe. Or do I want to stop this pawn? I think I want to stop the pawn because it's sort of saying to the rook on h8, you're not doing much now, are you? I think if I can double my rooks and eliminate this pawn, I think a lot of my worries in the position will be resolved here if I can just eliminate this pawn. I think this is a happy position now if I just double the rooks. Okay, e6 might be... I'm not sure now. Or at f6 just to get my own pass pawn. I think f6 is more dynamic. Try and break through with my own pass pawn. And temporarily block that bishop. Right. If I block the bishop, I'll have rook c2, but unfortunately there's bishop h6. It might not be that easy to get in the move I want to get in. Alright, I'm hoping if I try and eliminate it now, okay, I end up being a pawn down. This is so unfair. I'm going to lose my pawn. The price to pay. Aggressive king. My opponent's playing extremely well, I think. There's a lot of work to do here. Okay, I control a8. I think the bishop's good on e4. It's come right down to an endgame. Can I do a little bit of naughty tactics here with bishop d5? Try and get my king to g6. I'm hoping this is plausible. King h5 on bishop f6. Alright, that rook's loose, so I can have a discovered attack to win the rook. Loose pieces are the salt and pepper of forks, double attacks, all sorts. If you want to spice up anything, loose pieces spice up things. as I say to some of my students recently about loose pieces. What's the point in having a double attack if there's no loose piece? Quite often there's no point. Get the king up to g6 now. Yeah, that was quite a fight for a while. Well played. That was a real fight. Okay, we've got ooh. Okay, a 3-minute challenge against the 2755. This will be entertaining. I'll try King's Indian attack, as mentioned. It's not that quick as I would have thought for a 3-minute game. This is the sort of plan I play with black, but what annoys me with this plan with black usually is when white plays for a quick d4. Quick d4, trying to interrupt black's attacking potential. I'm holding the knight there. This is fine, I think. Famous last words. I'm playing a very dangerous opponent. To say such things is a little bit presumptuous. I think the higher rate the opponent, the more resourceful in general. It's a little bit presumptuous to say anything. But I'm hoping Queen d3 is fine for the moment, for the foreseeable. If I play Queen d3, maybe even King f2 and Rook h1, can I use that h file? The double pawns don't concern me too much at the moment. Neural networks have put pay to that sort of thing when the opponent's structure isn't as effective. It's not, you can't really count it as a major extra pawn quite often, if we can learn from neural networks anything about chess. Okay. I've got the clock on my side at the moment. There is the potential of rook. That's a pin. I'm looking at h6 now, another pinned points which are illusionary now because of that pinned piece. They're not really defended because of that pinned piece. Okay, knight e5 hits g6. f5 looks really dangerous. To fg and bishop h6, I have to start calculating things like that now. This is much better than I had anticipated. That doesn't look like the scariest move I was expecting. Queen f7. Alright, okay. Queen d7, can I pick up a pawn? or bishop h6 threatening. Hang on a sec. If I take it b7, I think that's better. And where am I? Isn't there queen d5? Oh, okay. He's very, very short on time. I don't know why he would be so short on time intentionally. Okay, yeah, I'm a bit stronger on the faster time limits. Actually, I think my rating, I don't know, on the 3 minute is probably underrated. Thanks, Retran. As it approaches bullet, I think I'm stronger. Although I do often say I'm not very good at bullet. Okay. Thanks. Okay. That was a very exciting game, though. I just felt I felt comfortable, though. When you get a pin, I think I start to feel comfortable. If there was a heartbeat measure monitor, as soon as I get a pin or some issue like that, I can celebrate. I think it would come down a bit. I think FIDE threatened to put heart monitors on. That would be interesting to correlate it with things happening on the chessboard. Are they pinning a piece? Is it? I think Magnus Carlsen's expressed in a post-mortem once that he was happier against Kremlin, I think, because he saw the knights were not very good of Kremlin, so he started to be less worried about the position. I think I was less worried once I saw that pin, rook on the 7th, Nimzovich. Once I got that pinned bishop, but there's always an uncertainty. I do believe the higher rated the opponent in general, the more resourceful they're going to be. The neural networks have taught us that even the mites of Stockfish, though, with that enormous resolution of tactical genius, that even neural networks with 1 in 100 calculation, they can sometimes sort out counterplay in the wider sense, and so there's not much to do sometimes. And in general, I think when you're playing a very, very tactical player that you think might be more tactical than you, then that's the sort of approach, the sort of containment strategy, contain their bishops, contain their counterplay as far as possible. If you think especially that they're more tactical than you, that's another thing with the King's Engine attack, by the way. I think Fischer used it as well as a sort of positional opening to sort of minimise the opponent's counterplay. If he played sharp stuff, they'd have all sorts of weird and wonderful like counterplay in sharp variations, which maybe he just didn't want the hassle of, and ended up, until he was like 15, playing like the King's Engine attack as his weapon quite a lot against the Kara Khan and against the French defence. So yeah, I was quite excited in the last few days to sort of review some classic Fischer games as part of this. I wanted to do a thorough job on this course review, so I looked in depth, and I also believe if you do look in depth at all the key variations of a game and try and extract the key principles, I think that's a very, very important thing to do in general when you look at master games. Because on a different subject, I've been listening to Alan Kay, one of the pioneers of computer science, and he sort of basically says our scope for thinking, creative thinking, is often limited by our context. And you might wonder, well, what's a context in chess? And for me, a context can actually just be an example of something. So say you you analysed in detail to model King's Engine attack games and Fischer, that becomes part of your context for thinking about King's Engine attack games in general, I think. Because there's a lot of, if you can extract the principles, I've been trying to do that. It's fascinating, basically, for a wide range of similar positions. So that context is like what maximizes your potential for more creative thinking. This context one could get, and it could be, I believe, from just examples of things. But in his case, Alan Kay, he was a microbiologist, and he had this concept, this context of how bacteria could represent a far more scalable architecture than, say, building bridges, because you can have like thousands of bacteria with loose coupling and minimal cohesion, which is far more scalable than any building construction. So you've got the whole of software engineering up to that point based on building construction, when in fact the context might be more viable to be something like bacteria. I know we don't like to think of bacteria too much, but in terms of scalability, because he was into scalability, then that's like a more interesting context. But he did philosophize that in general, to be creative in something, it's a lot to do with context. So how do we get a context to beef up our thinking? I just found that a bit fascinating recently as well. So when I was checking out examples, I did want to sort of not just see the variations of a particular game. I did want to sort of extract as many principles as I could and with a system like the King's Engine attack, it means you've got a broadsheet coverage of all the major openings to 1 e4 immediately. Quite a broadsheet. I'm wondering about the move Rook c7 coming up is nasty. So I'm going to do this. I'm probably in a bit of trouble here. I'm wondering knight g3. Of course, the tragedy is there's a connection actually between IT and chess, which is fairly tragic. That Alan Turing, who even on paper wrote a computer chess program and saved thousands of people during the war, was then sort of chemically castrated. And he saved thousands of people during the war, because he was gay. And you have all these Turing Award winners later. So Alan Kay struck me as one of the more pioneering. But yeah, it's a tragedy the whole thing's based on. That in the past there was such prejudices against such great intellects. But yeah, I mean, things obviously are fantastic today compared to what they used to be. But yeah, so I was looking at these Turing Award winners from Alan Turing, and yeah, the creativity of the pioneers, it's fascinating, some of their ideas, how I thought I could apply them to maybe improve my creativity in chess as well, just looking for parallels. But a lot of the ideas just were in the 1960s, and it's the technology today which allows those ideas to be realized. Like the self-learning neural networks was around in the 60s. It's just that we can actually explore a lot of these concepts now much more easily with the technology we've got. So that's fascinating as well. Context is, there's this genius that did Tesla, and when he was talking about reasoning, he said, take everything from first principles. Then you'll get some creativity. And I was listening to him, the guy that does Tesla. I've just blundered a piece now, haven't I? Okay. But it's more straightforward to have a context, I think. If you come from a context, a lot of people innovating in computer science, they might have like PhDs in language, and so they've got this context which lets them be creative about what should be a good programming language. Because I think so people with the same similar mindset, they might not have that creative context that they've come from. I think even in chess, I remember Kasparov was talking about creativity, and he said it's not enough just to calculate. You've got to have a lot of imagination and inspiration. And maybe he was also alluding to this idea that you really need different contexts. And he did say when he was a junior, he didn't just study chess puzzles like we do today. He studied compositions, chess compositions, you know, as in composer, really hard ones, to perhaps maximize his context for what I see now. Maybe he was really just maximizing his creativity context. So when he had very difficult, you know, positions which required much more creative solutions, because he's been practicing on compositions, not just puzzles. You know, I think that might have given him this context for, you know, inspired ideas. So that's another thing. Ada Lovelace, yeah. So I did a bit of Ada. It's got strong data typing and the mechanic. Yeah, Ada Lovelace did the Ada programming language. And you would have thought, I don't want to talk about programming languages too much, but yeah. But I could, I mean, if you want. JavaScript, yeah, was sort of looked down on, but it was part of the browser. It was like in a privileged position in the browser as the new operating system of the internet. And thankfully, there's things like TypeScript now. So the basic things of data time, which we took for granted in Ada, now with TypeScript, you can even apply that to JavaScript. You know, these transpilers. So yeah, it's fascinating how technology waves, concepts. But also there's I've heard some funny stories recently. There's this guy Ted's Ake. I've been hearing he had a lot of ideas for the internet, and it's not what we have today. He wanted it more interactive, much more dynamic. He envisaged not just simple one-way jumps, but the way basically, if the internet is an operating system, the way you don't just connect files, you sort of interlay them, you overlay them, interlay them, fascinating stuff. And we end up with shallow implementations today of what some of these visionaries had. But to be fair, I think you do need to go with something. You do need to prototype something. And a lot of people, I mean, the internet wasn't that popular back then, so I think you could say it was like a simple prototype what we went with. But a lot of them were complaining they had all these fantastic ideas, and we just get a load of rubbish in return. But I think one of the things as a junior, though, both in chess and in computing, is the idea that on my BBC Micro there was an open invitation for anyone to program, which we don't get with the passive devices. Everyone wants an iPad or an iPhone. There's no invitation to program. But most people just don't want to program. They want to like surf the internet or look at social media. So who cares? So anyway, I should really talk about chess today. Perhaps I should occasionally talk about chess. Yeah, does anyone want me to talk about chess today? I can talk about chess and neural networks, though, yes, because they were... I look back at my AI, because I was doing AI as part of my major in computer science, and there wasn't any talk much about self-learning neural networks. So that is an example of something which technologically was a great concept, but totally unrealizable in the past. So that thing we have now, these tools for actually learning about chess conceptually, have come about from just technology improvements. And yeah, I think there's a lot to learn, not just from Leland neural network. Am I getting mated here? I've got to be really careful here. Oh, blimey. Let's try and shield my king. I was trying to get an attack. I'm threatening mate here, though, aren't I? With rook h2. Trying to get an attack. I think we can learn from all the different neural networks. Okay, this looks good again. Queen h4. Because I think the existing, the Alan Turing-based paper approach is just simple heuristics, but we have to give the computer the heuristics. The neural networks, to me, it's like they're saying, look, improve your evaluation function as humans. Look, the sacrificing exchange is fine here, etc., etc., etc. I think they give us new things to think about for our own evaluation function of positions, which I find fascinating. That actually technology can actually teach concepts, which before it's just impossible. And all that technology, self-learning, is from the 60s. It's unbelievable. There was a lot of funding back then, though, for things, and perhaps more than today. Okay, thanks, Mantel. Okay, I'll try and get back on the chess. Okay, King's Engine attack. King's Engine attack. Am I planning a philosophical? No, but I kind of like having when you explore a chess game. I know a lot of people, they talk about the chess game, the variations, and that's it. I just think it's a waste, because I think while you're there somewhere, so you take a holiday in Rome and you just go and you just, I don't know if there's a beach in Rome. Actually, I haven't been there recently, but you go there and you pick up nothing about the culture. I think Kasparov talked about this. If you're there at a place, do you not want to pick up ideas, philosophy, principles? You got people on YouTube today, they just go through a game, rattle off a few variations, done deal, less than 10 minutes, 5 minutes. What have we learnt from that? Have we picked up any context for our thinking? Have we picked up any principles? Quite often zero, absolute zero. It's just an entertainment thing. I think while you're there, you've taken the effort to go to some game, to some Fischer game. Why not, while you're there, pick up some principles? For very similar positions. Because chess is a gigantic game. I think if we don't pick up principles, it's very, very hard to improve in chess as it is. Of course, then you can argue, okay, principles don't work. You need a very, very specific position for the move to be truly effective. You need very specific. But it's principles that guide us quite often to the right area to concretely look for a concrete, very effective move. Yeah. So anyway. Okay, so knight h4, knight f5. Knight h4, f4. Okay, maybe knight h4 has been ruled out now. So this side of the board, there's often plans with b4, I've noticed, in King's in attack style positions. So b4, we can play on the queen side and try and undermine the centre. I think I'll put the bishop here. I'm going to try and undermine the centre with bc and d4. I'm hoping this does something of interest from my point of view. bc and d4. Okay, so the question is, can I get away with d4? I think I might be able to. It doesn't look as though I'm getting completely demolished just yet. Famous last words. FG, knight g5. I think h3 is sufficiently protected. Right, so BC, DC, DC, D. There's all sorts of options, basically. I think I might try DC and B5, because it looks as though E5 could be a target, and I want to use the D file. So I want to undermine okay, D6 is the target that's been offered. So knight B3, I'll be threatening something, surely, at some point. A4 might be handy. I guess there's some tactics coming up. Isn't that rook d6 here? What's wrong with rook d6? It's a nice pin. Yeah, you left that d pawn as a target. Looks like c5 is weak now. e5 is weak now. Yeah, I think this is a disaster structurally, isn't it? I'll keep the pin. Being a sadist, I'll keep the pin. I don't want to Relieve my opponent's torture. Okay, so I just want to double rooks against the pin piece. I say this on the chessboard. I have to keep qualifying that, don't I? Ah. Yeah, creativity or memory. You're right. Because actually, there's an extreme example. Design patterns. Literally, they got it. Apparently, these design patterns from architecture, and they just transferred it over. And it was, of course, proven concepts from a different context, which, of course, were very useful to programming. So sometimes you can literally take tried and tested concepts from another domain, another context, and just use them in a slightly different way, and they're tried and tested. So that perhaps you could argue there's sometimes less creativity when you do that, when you're actually literally kind of in inverted commas stealing from another context. So it's not just a way of stimulating thought in your particular context, another context. It's a way of getting tried and tested ideas, really. But if people didn't observe that before, of course, it's really useful to apply that to a slightly different context. I guess a lot of ideas have already been come up with like years ago, and we're just reinventing the wheel a lot of the time. Okay, there's rook d8 here. Isn't that a bit of torture? Okay, why do I keep saying torture today? You guys are going to get the wrong impression. I'm some sort of chess sadist. I don't know. I don't know. Why do I don't know. Okay, anyway. So queen e4, queen d3, exchange off queens. So my king's not in trouble. That looks like a good idea in principle, but I lose an e5 pawn. On the other hand, knight f4 coming up looks a little bit mildly dangerous, which I don't want the hassle of, so I'd rather have the queens off. Lose e5, probably get a pin somewhere else, probably win c5 soon. Oh. Alright, knight f4. I'm going to have to try and ignore knight f4 when it comes up. I don't want to allow too much counterplay. I'm going to somehow ignore knight f4 when it comes up as some tactically amazing resource. Actually, isn't that... No, there isn't queen d5. Why couldn't I have just played queen d5 if I want the queens off? Oh, no! 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 I've missed my shot for queen d5. Oh! Ah! Oh, I'm going to have to permit a counterplay, I'm afraid. It's so unfair. Life is so unfair. I have to permit counterplay. Okay. No. Far too dangerous. Bishop f1. Okay, this is getting danger now. Now it's getting dangerous. I have work to do. I have calculation work to do. This is so unfair. e6, can I extinguish this counterplay? Knight takes and queen d5 coming up. If I play knight takes here and queen d5, I don't mind giving a piece back. Okay, bishop g2 again, trying to settle, calm down f3 issue. Alright, try and challenge this f file. Can I calm down things here? There's another pin, like my pins as you observed. Pin. Get rid of that. Get another pin. Knight d4. e6 coming up. Alright, thanks Cobra, yeah. Okay. You taught yourself with playing chess on my own. That's the problem if you talk too much versus strong players. Okay. Okay. Friedel. Will I be fried by Friedel today? Let's see. Okay. Friedel. One great gift. I've got my great gift t-shirt on today. Actually, I have been wandering around, and people do sort of. Actually, I have started a conversation with people recently about this t-shirt. I think it's a good way to pick up chess enthusiasts. I haven't so far, but yeah, people have been wondering about this t-shirt. It's kind of unusual, running around co-op. It's a conversation starter. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, 2 Greek gifts, 3 Greek gifts, 4 Greek gifts, 5 Greek gifts, 6 Greek gifts, 7 Greek gifts, 8 Greek gifts, 9 Greek gifts. Okay, I definitely haven't got the white pieces here. So, okay, we'll abort this for a moment. Maybe challenge later. Okay, I'll be fried later, maybe by Friedel. Okay, Gas 28. Let's try this King's Indian attack. So this is King's Indian attack day today. A bit of variety for my usual English opening. Right, so this is an interesting question, what to do here. Touch the queen side, play queen e2. I think I will dare play c3, actually. c3. I'm thinking queen e2 might be there might be a nuisance there with knight d4. Now here, what I do like with both the King's Indian defense and the King's Indian attack is a common idea, which I have mentioned before, about overprotecting e5. So you play like this, h4, bishop f4, then you play on the dark squares, knight h2, knight g4, h5, h6, maybe get a form pawn later on f6. It is form pawn friendly, this opening. Maybe I could stamp my seal of approval to certain openings as being form pawn friendly. I think this is a form pawn friendly opening. So bishop f4, knight h2 to g4. Okay, do I dare play this? Okay, I'm hoping it's not a big deal. Oh, knight d5. Hang on. No, knight d5 is scary. Okay, maybe c3 is a big problem. I think I'll protect c3, so I've got some options. If I got a few moves to do what I want, I think I'd play knight h2 to g4 to f6. Alright, I can get tempo here now because I've covered c3. If I can get to play h5, h6, there's a form pawn for a start. But here, okay, I'll wait for knight g4 maybe. And then h5, h6. So I'm getting the whole form pawn potential going now with knight f6. This looks like very juicy knight f6 here, if I say so myself. Knight f6 looks juicy, juicy, juicy. Okay. It looks so juicy. I mean, I'll play the whole opening for this position if I can get this position. I've got the form pawn bishop, which is going to be a form pawn soon. But it's eliminated just in time, isn't it? Queen e3, knight f6, ef, queen d8, queen h6, queen f6, knight g5, queen g7. It's eliminated just in time. However, I will play this anyway, because I think on queen d8 there might be queen g5. I will still have the form pawn for a moment. I'll still have h5. I'll still have the prospect of knight h2 to g4 to h6. This is what I imagine is the reality matching with what I imagine. Oh, there might be resources here for black, like that. Yes. Do I tease e5 or not if I play queen f4? Okay, let's go with this. There's a pin here against the bishop. I could take them and play d4. Well, I've got limited options here anyway. There is a pinned knight. Okay, the form pawn dream has been extinguished, I'm afraid, from my point of view. I have to dream new dreams now. There is an idea of knight e4 to d6, I've just noticed. Oh, he has got knight d4, has he? For knight e2 check. Oh, that's nasty. If that is true. Okay, so knight e4 here. Or bishop takes for knight e4. I think this one's interesting. To get knight c5, try and get past pawn. I probably have got 0 here. He's got a 2-to-1 pawn majority. It looks as though I've got virtually 0 going on here. If he wins this pawn, I think I get a bit of play. Knight d6, knight g5, threatening knight e6. Okay, so say took, rook d4, rook c7, knight d6, knight g5. Threatening at least. Okay. That's another way of playing it. Okay, I'll bring my king to the centre. No, it's not great, is it? Does he give me a bit of play with rook d7? Alright, I didn't expect that generosity. Looks as though knight g5 or knight d6 even. I wonder if knight g5 is better. Knight g5. Oh, don't tell me knight c4 check. Okay, this is going to be a pain, isn't it? Oh, knight e3, king h3 after? As long as I'm not immediately mated. Or is that the case that I might be later? King h3. Well, let's imagine I'm not, for sake of argument. Knight e3, king h3. I can imagine rook here and there mating, but I do get a move in to say something about that, like g4 maybe later, to give my king g3. Okay, a bit of business here. With an attack, I mean. Or not. Oh, hang on a sec. Is it? Oh no. That would be mating, wouldn't it? With rook h2. Oh my word. This is getting so dangerous now. Am I busted? Hang on, I will have king h4 to g5 if he's not careful. Okay, so say king h4 to g5, if he plays a check, king g5, that could be a little bit dangerous. Okay, g4 then. Can I at least get this pawn somewhere? Ah. Knight e4 to f6. This pawn. Cross the bridge while I can. Oh, he's going to have... okay, I have to do this pawn, I think, because he's got an interruption there. 24 seconds. G7 plan, knight e4, knight f6. G7. There's relinquish a pawn. Rook f3. Oh, it was, yeah, chaos after. You do get a bit of counterplay in the King's Engine attack because you're playing towards the King side. Statistically, that's another perk. So even if you do lose on the Queen side, it's not going to be as terminal as the variations on the King side. So I did have a terminal variation rather than him, say, queening a pawn. It's terminal when it's like knight f6, g7. It's very close to terminal. Okay, so that's the thing. Statistically, it's favouring white generally, I think. Okay, so in the lottery there. Well played though, fantastic game. Yeah, I'm shaken up, but not stirred. Shaken and stirred, shaken. Okay, whatever, as James Bond might say. Shaken, not stirred. For his drink. Okay, so yeah, 1 elephant, 2 elephants, 3 elephants, 4 elephants, 5 elephants, 6 elephants, 7 elephants, 8 elephants, 9 elephants, 10 elephants. Okay, another time. Sasha, okay. Sasha, I don't like playing, I hate to say this, I had this bad experience the other week, someone completely new. Please tell me you've played some games. I'd rather play people that are not just coming right off the bat, because there's no provisional facility in the rating system right now, which means it's not N over 50, where 50 is a non-provisional rating, I'm afraid. Please do get some experience before you challenge me on the stream. I don't want to just play a raw 1500. It's there was a bad experience a few weeks back. Okay, sorry about that. So please try and establish a rating. Thanks. Okay, so Queen E7. I'm trying to parry this. So D5, bishop E6, C5 maybe. So trying to somehow, okay, I've got dented pawn structure, but I don't think it's the end of the world just yet. So bishop E6. maybe rook d8. I don't like this alignment to my rook, my loose rook. So rook d8, bishop a5 to b6. Oh, mind you, okay, f5. I would have dropped that rook on h8. The mechanics are tricky, customer. I think he did crush me the other day. Oh dear, this is not looking good. I don't want to play bishop takes c3. He's got takes. Oh, this is not looking good. Am I just crumbling here? Oh, crikey. Okay. Stuff is dropping. I wanted to preserve the dark square bishop just in case there's some opportunities later. Maybe h5, h4 now is justified pretty soon. Or d4 here just to protect that pawn. Or rook d6 and c6. Maybe that's the best bet. Knight d5. I think I'll take it. I'm still on his queen. Check. I'm hitting his queen. Oh, okay. Alright, I'm being provoked into d4. This isn't that pleasant, this position. Rook d8. Okay, I can drop another pawn. Oh, this is really unpleasant. Knight a7 if he wants. Okay. I'm hoping something will turn up at some point. When I'm left alone here, I keep all these tempo games. If I'm left alone, h5, h4, try and get some counterplay. Alright, this could be my cue for a bit of counterplay. So f5 and queen h4. If the pawn ever moves forward, there's rook g3 now, that pinned pawn there, if cd and d. Okay. Oh, there's knight e6, you can pick up a rook. I'm threatening rook g3 though. Will you see the threat? Maybe I shouldn't speak too much about it. Okay. He didn't say it. Okay. Queen h4 looks good. If the rook ever moves, the rook g2. Oh, there's queen g2. Well, queen h4 though, still, maybe I should consider it. Yeah, just get another pawn. Oh, I don't think that works because of rook g2. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. Oh yeah. Thanks, mechanic. Yeah, no. I was getting done over on the queen side. Hands up, getting done over. Okay. This tangoing is like an Alekhine defense the other direction. A knight game from the queen side to the king side. I've had very good results in bullet chess with this over the last few months. I've even created courses somewhere else called Tactics Next, which are often based on dark square weaknesses being provoked. So I have a nice bishop quite often in this opening. I think I'll have to do some sort of course on the tango at some point, because I just had so much fun. There's a lot of fun to share in it, tango. Okay. So the tango can lead to dark square weaknesses, as far as I can tell, quite often. To exploit, from your point of view, you can get dark square stuff going on. Now bishop h5, what about rook h5? If bishop f6 there, queen f6, I'm on f2. If it took as compensation for the exchange, if I can take out f2 and another pawn, or even it's dangerous for white's king with things like bishop e3 if that bishop wasn't on the board. Here I think a6, put the bishop over here. I think I want to unpin with queen d7 and then play knight g4. This also gives me now knight h7. I think knight f4 is actually quite interesting as well here. That gives me that nice dark square bishop. e5 I can revolve around e5 with knight d7 to e5 here. If given half a chance, I'll do that. Queen e7, knight d7 to e5. That looks very juicy, so to speak. Knight d7 to e5. Juiciness coming up, I hope. This comforting, this reassurance that I think even if I was playing a strong computer, this position is positionally quite nice, stable. I would hold it a few moves, I would hope, against anybody. At the moment with that knight on e5. AB or a5. a5 might allow b6. I'll take the risk. I think I will. I think b6, maybe bishop takes b6. Okay, so provoke some weaknesses. c3 coming up. Some extra weaknesses, just they might be handy later. g5 could be handy on queen d2 here. hg, queen g5, queen g3, looking at f2. I think I'll play g5 anyway. So g4 here, okay, or rook g8, maybe rook g8. Okay, my pride of the position is going here, taking out my nice knight. That's so unfair. I might have to do some work after he takes out my piece. It's really just not on. I'm threatening queen g2 though, now. The way he's playing it, queen g2. There's also knight c4 to e3. Isn't that just bishop takes g1 here for a start? I'm not getting mated, am I? Bishop takes g1. Knight takes f3 coming up. Alright, if I took that. Oh, hang on. I've just noticed something. Bishop f2, queen f2, queen takes h1. This is a threat. Bishop f2. I think I will use this. Forcing move. Try and prioritize the forcing moves. You never know. They might do stuff. Special effects department. Forcing moves. Bishop h3 for rook g1. Alright, thanks for the game. Okay. Always blame the mouse. When people do this, casting early against me, I'm wondering, did they check my nickname? Kingscrusher. I'm not worried about the H4 attack. Outrageous. I'm not going to castle. Castling is for stereotypical. I don't want to do stereotypical stuff. As someone in Suits said, I've never done anything generic in my life. You do things specific because they're more effective. You take account the nuances, the minutiae of detail. Yeah, I'm not going to castle. White's castled here. H4, knight g4. I'm going for the attack. H4, knight g4. Or is it a bit of a generic attack? I don't know, maybe you can neutralise it with knight f6 and then g4. It's possible. It's possible the attack isn't all that. Statistically, though, it is, to me, very good, generally. How sound is it here? There's two examples. If he plays knight f6 and g4, there's that example, which seems a bit more solid. Definitely more solid than this. This is aligning my rook to his king. This is really asking for trouble. Surely, surely. I can even take, he can't actually take there with the bishop because of h3. Knight g4 is also tasty. Bishop h3 might be investigated for its own right here. After bishop h3, queen d7. What's the reply there? I can't even see one. Oh, maybe there's knight g1. Knight g1. Knight g4, king g2. He could take on f6 first. So then there's the question, what about queen d7, knight g1? Isn't there knight g4 there, king h1? I think the simpler question is knight d5 and transfer this knight across. The reason for doing that, the thing I don't like about this, slight downside, is the knight on g6 hasn't got much scope if you look at it on g6. It hasn't got really f4, h4. What would I do with that? But let's ask that question again there. If the knight was on g6, queen d7, knight g1, I think I could just build up on h3. So I'm going to do that. I think my king safety is a bit better if this diagonal's blocked. I could build up on h3, I hope. So the plan here, basically, I'd need to get the bishop out of the way, though. That's not really practical. No, I visioned that wrong. So I'm not going to castle queenside. Is there anything more radical? f5, g6 construction. I think this is more radical, just to sort of get this rook joining with this rook. However that's done. So g6, king f7, bishop d7, and then try and use the h file. Okay, so g6. If he wants to open up that diagonal, I'll let him. I just want to reinforce f5. Okay, that opens up that diagonal. King f7. Alright, there's going to be pressure. There's going to be pressure. I see. Okay. Now this is a different ball game. We're in a different ball game now. There's pressure on e5. How about bishop d7 and castling queenside? Okay, there's always bishop c5 to bishop a3. Okay, it's not that brilliant, is it, for me? He takes rook c1, queen d6. I castle queenside. I still have the prospect of doubling rooks. There still might be a prospect of, there's other things going on there. g5 and f4 plan. If my queen was back on d6, I'm aligned to his king. Try and emphasize that with g5 and f4. So let's see, g5 and f4 plan would give me knight f5. I was worried about the knight earlier. If I have knight f5, then the knight's got more pressure on g3 and e3 coming up. So let's see this position. Say queen c7, sorry, queen c2, castle queenside. King b8, g5, f4, knight f5 as the plan. I have a prospect for doubling rooks. I have a prospect for knight f5. I think I'll go with that. So king b8, g5, f4, knight f5. I can't see my king being torn to shreds that quickly, although it is possible. If I play a5 here, try and seal things up. Would he sack a pawn? Okay. Okay. Can I share that C file with him here? Because I'm thinking d5 could be a target in the endgame now. If we have a shared C file, as long as he's not doing a magnificent rook c6 looking move. Alright, he's cutting out my f4. I have got... No, there's no f4. Use the C file here, I think. Change of plan. Weak pawn in endgame. a4. New targets to be picked up. New downsides here on this endgame. a4. Any target to capitalise on. He's got a passed pawn. I just realised. I can have that pin. I can play knight takes d5. I think the pin first, then knight takes d5 is much better without knight e5. d5 is weak, but he has got this passed pawn. I could play e4, he's got knight d4. Oh, hang on. Knight e5, there's rook g2, knight e3. That's he's on d7. This doesn't work, does it? Wait. I just play rook g2 and d takes. Oh, okay. Let's try this. So I'm saying rook takes and not knight e3 but d takes. He's got to pass h pawn for sure, but the two piece. Oh, immediately knight e3. I don't think the h pawn's a major thing now. Wouldn't have thought it's a major thing. Okay, I was a bit lucky today. Okay. Thanks for the games. Okay, yeah, 1 fun, 10 boring. I hope you got something from today, and yeah, have a good rest of the Sunday, and have a good week. Over the board season soon. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? If you play it over the board. Okay, see you next week. Thanks very much.